Guys, is the screen visible? Hello. Hello. Guys, can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay. Yes. Hello.
Yes, you are.
I'm audible. Okay, great, great. So I think we have stopped at BS4, BS6 yesterday. So we'll be starting with electric mobility. So I'll be starting now. Just guys, let me know if at all if there's any disturbance or if my voice is breaking. Just let me know. Okay. So electric mobility in 2017, Government of India has declared that it wanted India to go fully electric by 2030, right? And the aim has not yet turned into commitment due to the lack of infrastructure and the financial risks faced by the automobile industry in making the transitions to EVs. After a series of flip-flops over policy on EVs, Government of India is pushing aggressively for a switchover from fossil fuels. For the time being, the government's focus is on 2 and 3-wheelers. Niti Aayog has proposed a ban all IC, internal combustion engines. So Niti Aayog has proposed a ban on internal combustion engines powered 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers in India, starting in 2025 for 2-wheelers and 2023 for 3-wheelers, right? Then phase 2 of the faster adoption and manufacturing of electric and hybrid vehicles, that is FAME India, right? Phase 2 of FAME India scheme. For the promotion of EVs and hybrid vehicles in the country, the Department of Heavy Industry has notified phase 2 of the FAME India scheme, right? So this is by Department of Heavy Industry, right? This is under this phase 2 of FAME India scheme. And the scheme lays much required thrust on localization of EV parts, right? And the policy aims to create market for 1 million E2Ws and 5 lakh E3Ws in the next 3 years. The scheme offers an outlay of 10,000 crores. Guys, if anybody wants to add anything, you can add. You can just ask me to stop and add your points here, right? The scheme offers an outlay of 10,000 crore to give a fillip to EVs and to set up charging stations. The Ministry of Power has already issued guidelines and standards setting technical parameters for public charging stations that can enable normal and fast charging. So this is all these points are under FAME India phase 2, right? Anything to be added here? Right. So moving on, EV charging guidelines to encounter EV adoption. Encourage EV adoption. To give a boost to electric vehicles, Ministry of Power has approved amendments in electric vehicle charging guidelines, right? And specifications. It has been envisaged that in the first phase, all mega cities with population of 4 million plus, all existing highway connected to and connecting these mega cities will be covered, while in the second phase, 3 to 5 years, big cities like state capitals, UT headquarters may be covered. Bureau of Energy Efficiency, a statutory body under the Ministry of Power, BE is not under MOFCC, it is under Ministry of Power. So has been nominated as the central nodal agency. So the nodal agency for this EV charging guidelines and BE is under Ministry of Power, and it is the central nodal agency, right? Electric vehicle charging guidelines and specifications. At least one charging station to be available in a grid of 3 into 3 kilometers in the cities. One charging station at every 25 kilometers on both sides of the highways. Fast charging station at every 100 kilometers, one on each side of the highways. Private charging at residences or offices to be managed by DISCOMs, right? private charging to be managed by DISCOMs, and the public charging stations (PCS) to be delicensed, to be a delicensed activity. Anybody can set up, and freedom to public charging stations to install the chargers as per the market requirement. Guys, can anybody read from here? Anybody would like to read from here?
If you continued with the next chapter, I will take the next chapter, no? Water pollution.
Right. So, tax incentives. Finance Minister has announced an additional income tax exemption of rupees 1.5 lakh for purchasers of electric vehicles in budget 2019 to 20. And she also, she also said that the GST rate on electric vehicles would be lowered to 5% from 12%. So, GST would be lowered from 5% to 12%. And skepticism surrounding adoption of the electric mobility. The long-term environmental gains of a global transition to EVs remain unclear. India's automobile market is the fourth largest in the world. Installing charging facilities to serve such a vast market will prove much harder than in Western countries. China has a strategic advantage in mass switchover, given its easy access to lithium and cobalt. Okay, so China has a strategic advantage because of its easy access to lithium and cobalt and low cost, high output automobile batteries. India, on the other hand, will have to depend entirely on imports, right? Then challenges for the automobile industry. Automotive sales has plummeted in the recent times due to GSTs. The situation continues to be made worse by increasing insurance costs, high prices of raw materials, and volatile fuel prices. The industry has already invested heavily in upgrading the BS6, that is Euro 6 from BS4. Will electric vehicle reduce carbon emission? As 55% electricity generation in India is primarily using coal, net reduction in carbon emissions will not be much, even if there is a large-scale adoption of electric vehicles in India, right? So, however, electric vehicles will help reduce pollution in cities. 14 of 20 most polluted cities in terms of harmful particulate matter are in India. So, although we do not, in spite of adopting electric vehicles, still the net reductions would be less. Then comes green tax on old vehicles. Recently, government proposed a green tax for old petrol diesel vehicles. Transport vehicles older than 8 years could be charged green tax at the rate of 10 to 25% of road tax, right? And personal vehicles to be charged green tax after 15 years. Public transport vehicles such as city buses to be charged lower green tax, and higher green tax, 50% of road tax for vehicles being registered in highly polluted cities, and differential tax depending on fuel and type of vehicle. Then vehicles used for farming such as tractors and combined harvesters could be exempted. तो इनका कोई टैक्स नहीं है. And vehicles running on clean fuel, CNG, LPG, ethanol, and strong hybrid would also be exempted, right? And revenue collected from green tax to be kept in a separate account and used for tackling pollution and for states to set up state-of-art facilities for emission monitoring. Based on the principle of polluters must pay, based on the principle of polluters must pay, this charge would be levied when commercial vehicles go for obtaining fresh fitness certificate and private vehicles for seeking renewal of the registration. State governments would be allowed to levy this tax over and above the regular road taxes. Currently, similar taxes are levied in Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, UP, and Jharkhand. Right? Then, polluters must pay principle. Polluter pays principle is a commonly accepted practice that those who produce pollution should bear the cost of managing it to prevent damage to human health or the environment. For instance, a factory that produces a potentially poisonous substance as a byproduct of its activities is usually held responsible for its safe disposal. The polluters pay principle is part of a set of broader principles to guide sustainable development worldwide, formerly known as the Rio 1992 Declaration, right? The pollution cost for the release of GHGs is not imposed on emitters. These costs are this externalized to society, representing market failure, right? And society bears this cost as GHGs are emitted in the atmosphere, which is described as global commons, as everyone shares and has the right to use, right? So these are described as global commons right now. So society is bearing the costs of it, right? Anything to be added here, guys?
No.
Right. Then moving on, National Clean Air Program. Government of India launched its National Clean Air Program in 2019. NCAP aims to reduce pollution levels, PM 2.5 and PM 10 by 20 to 30% by 2024 in cities. NCAP will be a midterm 5-year action plan with 2019 as the first year. It's a midterm 5-year action plan and 2019 as the first year. NCAP has cited how Beijing has succeeded in reducing PM 2.5 by 33.3% in 5 years. Right? NCAP is working to expand the National Air Quality Monitoring Network, build capacity for air pollution management, and strengthen public awareness about the dangers of air pollution. Then comes NGT, has criticized NCAP plan. So NCAP plan induces 102 non-attainment cities across 23 states and UTs, which were identified by the Central Pollution Control Board (CPCB) based on their ambient air quality data between 2011 to 15. Non-attainment cities cover only cities where the standards were not consecutively met for 5 years. These are the non-attainment cities. So NGT said the MOFCC's plan was against the constitutional mandate, and under Article 21, right to clean air stood recognized as part of right to life, and failure to address air pollution was denial of right to life. So basically, NCAP has only identified the non-attainment cities, but NGT says the right to clean air, according to Article 21, is a basic right of everybody. So NGT said the enforcement of sustainable development principle and public trust doctrine required stern measures to be adopted. Under the NCAP, the target was to achieve norms in 10 years and reduce load to the extent of 35% in first 3 years, with further reduction of the pollution later. It meant for 10 years pollution would remain unaddressed, which was too long period of tolerating violations when clean air was right to life. So other criticisms of NCAP. It was not clear what type of pollutants or all pollutants would be reduced. NCAP is only a cooperative and participatory initiative, and this will not be notified under any act. To create a firm mandate with a strong legal backup, NCAP only mentions the CPCB, that the CPCB will execute the program in consonance with air prevention and NCAP only mentioned that CPCB will execute the program in consonance with the Air Pollution Act, right, in 1986. 11th and 12th 5-year plans has taken on board the strategy of National Clean Air Action Plan for all major cities to meet the national ambient air quality standards, right? But that remained a non-starter as it was not backed by a clear legal mandate and was underfunded. Guys, anything to be added here?
I think it was 30, yes, not 35. Sorry, I think it was 30%, not 35%.
Okay, are you talking about the reduction of?
See, initially it was for one or two cities. Now it was for 132 cities. I mean that I was only, I was only raising the issue. I was only raising the points which are important in the perspective of prelims. So all you have to remember about National Clean Air Program is that it was initially for 1 or 2 cities, and now it is for 132 cities, and it is a responsibility of CPCB. Okay.
Fair.
And
Right.
the base year to calculate this thing is 2017 for Okay, and of
Right.
course 12 pollutant, 8 pollutants which are from GRAP. Okay, we have to see the difference between these two also, GRAP as well as NCAP. Okay,
Right.
GRAP is the responsibility of EPCA. I think you people know, right? EPCA.
Yes. Yes.
Environmental Prevention and Control Authority. Now it was replaced with CAQM, Commission for Air Quality Management. Recently, it was done in 2021, I think.
Right.
So these
Right.
three things are important when we see this topic.
Right. And like you said, it is 20 to 30% by 2024 in cities. This is what you were talking about, right?
Yes.
Right. So moving on. Next comes National Air Quality Monitoring Program. Central Pollution Control Board (CPCP) has been executing a nationwide program of ambient air quality monitoring known as National Air Quality Monitoring Program (NAMP). The National Air Quality Monitoring Program is undertaken to determine the status and trends of ambient air quality, to ascertain the compliance of NAQS, that is National Ambient Air Quality Standards, to identify non-attainment cities, to understand the natural process of cleaning in the atmosphere, and to undertake preventive and corrective measures. So this is about NAMP. CPCB has been executing this nationwide ambient air quality program, that is NAMP, right? So moving on, NAQS, that is National Ambient Air Quality Standards. It is developed by the CPCB, and let's just see the pollutants under NAQS. Okay, so there are 12 pollutants under NAQS, right? And let's go one by one. Sulphur dioxide, and I think the rest is not of much importance. Just see what are the 12 pollutants. And yeah, so that is sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, PM 10, PM 2.5, O3, lead, carbon monoxide, ammonia, benzene, benzopyrene, arsenic, and nickel, right? So this is also color coded for us to understand. These are SO2, NO2, particulate matter 10, and particulate matter 2. I think these are like color coded as primary and secondary pollutants, right? Anybody can add here? Right. So the other ones are ozone, lead, carbon monoxide, ammonium, and benzene, benzopyrene, and then comes arsenic and nickel, right? So these are the 12 pollutants. Then comes Sulphur. Sulphur system for monitoring air pollutants. The system for air quality and weather forecasting and research, Sulphur, is a nationwide, introduced by Ministry of Earth Sciences, MOES, right? So Sulphur is under MOES, right? Ministry of Earth Sciences. Sulphur system will measure the air quality of a metropolitan city by measuring the overall pollution level and the location specific air quality of the city. It also monitors all weather parameters like temperature, rainfall, humidity, wind speed and wind direction, UV radiation, and solar radiation. So it monitors all weather parameters. It will measure the air quality of a metropolitan city by measuring overall pollution levels and location-specific air quality of city. The network has multiple air quality monitoring stations in each city, equipped with real-time continuous monitors for a range of pollutants, including PM 2.5, PM 1 included, and PM 10. Right? The system is indigenously developed by Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, IITM Pune, and is operationalized by IMD, Indian Meteorological Department. It has a giant true color LED display that gives out real-time air quality index on a 24/7 basis with color coding along with 72-hour advanced forecast. The ultimate objective of the project is to increase awareness among the public regarding the air quality in their city. Sulfur is an integral part of India's first air quality early warning system, operational in Delhi. Pollutants monitored under Sulfur system include, we have seen PM 2.5, PM 10, ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and sulfur oxides, benzene, toluene, and xylene. Benzene is found in crude oil. It is used to make plastics, resins, synthetic fibers, rubber lubricants. It's a volatile organic compound. Benzene reacts with other air pollutants to form ground level ozones. We have seen this yesterday, how volatile organic compounds react with oxides of nitrogen and sulfur, and they form ground level ozone, which can damage crops in the form of smog and materials. Then comes toluene. Toluene is methyl benzene used in paint thinners and as an octane booster in gasoline engines, right? So toluene is used as an octane boosters, and it is also used in paint thinners. Here thoda we have to remember. And xylene, dimethyl benzene, used as a solvent in printing, rubber, and leather industry. And the other pollutant is mercury. So this is the Sulfur scale: good, satisfactory, moderate, poor, very poor, and severe. So I don't think this is of much importance. We won't be able to remember this, but we have to remember the pollutants under Sulfur, right? Guys, anything to be added here? Guys, please give me 10 seconds. I'll be back. Just give me 10 seconds. Sorry, guys. Yeah, let's continue. Anything to be added here? Should I move to the next one?
I guess we should move, ना? Because ये
Yeah.
mostly चीजें हम लोग discuss कर ही चुके हैं तो.
ठीक है. So moving on, National Air Quality Index (NAQI). It was launched by the Environment Ministry in April 2015 under the Swachh Bharat. So basically, what we have to do is each program uska ministry and department देखना पड़ेगा, and it was launched by Environment Ministry in April 2015 under Swachh Bharat. It helps the common man to judge the air quality within his vicinity. There are 6 air quality categories. क्या है? Good, satisfactory, moderately polluted, poor, very poor, and severe. AQI, air quality index, will consider 8 pollutants: PM10, PM2.5, NO2, SO2, carbon monoxide, ozone, ammonia, and lead. In the cities of our country, guys, try to solve this question. In the cities of our country, which among the following atmospheric gases are normally considered in calculating the value of AQI? So carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, methane. So yes, anybody wants to try the question?
2, 3, 4, मतलब B.
Carbon dioxide भी सही.
Okay. So you're going with 2, 3.
If we eliminate carbon dioxide, then we came up with answer, right?
Right. Right. 2, 3, 4. So answer is 2, 3, 4. You're right. So moving to the next one.
Actually जो मीथेन और CO2 हैं वो ग्रीन हाउस गैस हैं, pollutants नहीं है.
Correct. Correct. You're right. So moving to the next one. Measures taken to control air pollution in the National Capital Region. So Environmental Pollution Prevention and Control Authority is a Supreme Court appointed body. It was notified in 1998 by Environmental Ministry under the EPN 1986 Act, right? Its initial mandate was to ensure that Delhi's bus and auto fleet moves entirely to CNG. Its mandate now is to prevent and control environment pollution in the National Capital Region. It is also mandated to enforce GRAP, that is Graded Response Action Plan, in NCR as per the pollution levels. Right? So let's see GRAP, Graded Response Action Plan. It works only as an emergency measure, right? As such, the plan does not include action by various state governments to be taken throughout the year to tackle industrial, vehicular, and combustion emissions, right? So this plan is incremental. So basically, GRAP is an emergency measure, right? This plan is incremental in nature. Therefore, when the air quality moves from poor to very poor, the measures listed under both the sections must be followed, right? GRAP has been successful in doing two things that had not been done before: creating a step-by-step plan for the entire NCR region, Delhi NCR region, and getting on board several agencies, that is air pollution control boards, industrial area authorities, municipal corporations, regional offices of the Indian Meteorological Department, and others. The plan requires action and coordination among 13 different agencies, Delhi, UP, Haryana, and Rajasthan NCR areas. Before the imposition of any measures, EPCA holds a meeting with the representatives from all NCR states. So it is like GRAP is NCR specific. Yes. So moving on, action under GRAP, severe plus or emergency. PM 2.5, that is over 300 micrograms or cubic meters, or PM 10 over 500 micrograms or cubic meters for 48 plus hours. Stop entry of, so these are the action plan. Matlab, I think itna important nahi hai. I'll just read it once. Stop entry of trucks in Delhi, stop construction work, introduce odd or even scheme for private and vehicular, and minimize exemptions, vehicles, and minimize exceptions. So these are the action plan. Then for severe, PM 2.5 or PM 10, then close brick kilns, hot mix plants, stone crushers, maximize power generation from natural gas to reduce generation. Sorry, guys. To reduce generation from coal, more frequent mechanized cleaning of road and sprinkling of water. Very poor. So this is severe, and then comes very poor. PM 2.5 from, like, I don't think this is that important. I'll just read. Stop use of diesel generators, enhance parking fee by 3 to 4 times, apartment owners to discourage burning fires in winter by providing electric heaters during winters. Then moderate to poor, heavy fines for garbage burning, close or enforce pollution control regulations. Guys, okay. So heavy fines for garbage burning and mechanized sweeping on roads with heavy traffic and water sprinkling. Strictly enforced ban on crackers. Other measures, NGT ordered a ban on old diesel and petrol vehicles within the city. Open burning has been largely curtailed. Completion of the eastern and western peripheral expressways for vehicle not destined for Delhi. Has GRAP helped? The biggest success of GRAP has been in fixing accountability and deadlines. For each action to be taken under a particular air quality category, executing agencies are clearly marked. Coordinations among as many as 13 agencies from 4 states is simplified to a degree because of the clear demarcation of the responsibilities. Three major policy decisions that can be credited to EPCA and GRAP are closure of the thermal power plant at Badarpur. Guys, anybody has an idea where Badarpur is?
Maybe Delhi या UP में है.
Okay. So then comes bringing BS6 fuel to Delhi before the deadline set initially, and the ban on peat coke as a fuel in Delhi NCR. So these are the major policy decisions under the EPCA and GRAP. Then EPCA, headed by retired IAS officer and including members from the central, Center for Science and Environment was constituted in 1998 by the Supreme Court. The body continues to monitor pollution and assist the Supreme Court in several pollution-related matters. Measures to reduce stubble burning. This is Pusa decomposer. Scientists at the Indian Agriculture Research Institute (IARI) have invented Pusa decomposer. It will be used for the speedy decomposition of the stubble in the national capital and nearby states. In one capsule, a farmer can make 25 liters of liquid substance. After making the liquid, he has to add jaggery and gram flour in it and has to sprinkle that liquid on the stubble, after which it would biodegrade in 20 days. So this is Pusa decomposer, in which they use jaggery and gram flour and sprinkle that on the stubble, and this will make it biodegradable in 20 days, right? Then Happy Seeders, Super Stubble Management System, that is Super SMS and Happy Seeders. Punjab government provided 50,000 plus subsidized stubble management machines. Super SMS helps in chopping the stubble and spreading that evenly, and the Happy Seeders help in direct sowing of wheat without clearing the stubble, right? So without clearing, the Happy Seeders help in direct sowing, and Super SMS, they help in chopping the stubble. However, 50,000 machines cannot cover even half the area due to short window period between paddy harvesting and wheat sowing, first week of October to second week of November. And farmers in Punjab have been demanding cash incentive as cost compensation to stop burning crop residue. Guys, anything to be added here or the previous points? Okay. So moving on. Then comes Smog Towers. In November 2020, Supreme Court has directed the government to prepare a plan to install smog towers across the capital to deal with air pollution. Smog towers are structures designed to work as large-scale air purifiers. These are large. Yes.
I think you know
Somebody
Telugu, right?
Yes, I speak Telugu. Please tell me.
యా ఇప్పుడు ఇదైతే ఈ ఈపీసీ చూసారా, అది మనకి బుక్ వచ్చిన ముందు, ఈ బుక్ రావడానికన్నా జస్ట్ 1 month ముందు కూడా అది చేంజ్ అయిపోయింది అనమాట. ఇట్ వాస్ రీప్లేస్డ్ విత్ సిఏక్యూఎం అనమాట, కమిషన్ ఫర్ ఎయిర్ క్వాలిటీ మేనేజ్మెంట్. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు దాకా మనం చదివాం కదా, ఇట్ ఈస్ యునో చైర్డ్ బై ది ఐఏఎస్ ఆఫీసర్. నౌ ఇట్స్ గోయింగ్ టు బి చైర్డ్ బై ది ఎక్స్ బ్యూరోక్రాట్. ఓకే, అండ్
నౌ ఇట్స్ గోయింగ్ టు బి చైర్డ్ బై
ఎక్స్ బ్యూరోక్రాట్.
Okay. Okay, ex-bureaucrats. Yes.
Now two things were added. Okay. One thing is that the punishment. If ఎవరైతే పాటించారో వాళ్ళకి దగ్గర 1 crore fine and 5 years of jail ఉంటుంది, excepted only farmers. And second important thing is that దీని కేసెస్ ఏవైతే ఇన్వాల్వ్ అయ్యిందో that has to be go to the National Green Tribunal, not civil courts. These are the two things that has been added after replacing this, EPCA to CAQM, Commission for Air Quality Management.
Right. So, what Shiva is... Yes.
Of course.
Go on, Shiva.
One more thing is that, see, whenever the response, I mean that these are the cheat codes. Whenever the responses came, I mean that, see, if take example of this graded response action plan, right? So whenever you're going to see the term response, definitely things has been, ఏమంటాం, ఎప్పుడైతే నువ్వు రెస్పాన్స్ ఇస్తావో అవి డెఫినెట్ గా నేషనల్ గ్రీన్ ట్రిబ్యునల్కి వెళ్తే సివిల్ కోర్ట్స్కి వెళ్ళవు. బట్ ఇప్పుడు నీకు NACAP చూసినావు, నేషనల్ క్లీన్ ఎయిర్ ప్రోగ్రామ్, అది ఏంటంటే రెడ్యూస్ చేయడానికి పొల్యూషన్. సో అప్పుడు నీకు సివిల్ కోర్ట్కి వెళ్ళే ఆస్కారం ఉంటుంది అనమాట. ఇదేంటంటే రెస్పాన్స్.
Just a second, I'll have to cut you here. If you can summarize that in English, it will be helpful for other friends of ours here.
Yeah, see, UPSC mainly going to famous statements like this. If we violate these things, it comes under civil courts or it comes under National Clean Tribunal. This is the one of the favorite statement for UPSC to play with us.
Right.
So whenever we are going to face the term reduce, because see, whenever we are going to come up with a policy, we have to keep two things in mind. One is for reduce, one is for response. Right.
Right. Right.
When the term is when the policy is regarding reduce, then things definitely will go to the courts, because it is a kind of limits that you are going to put some kind of things, right?
Right. Right.
When you are going to see the response, like this graded response action plan.
Yes.
Now thing has already happened. Now we have to take a responsibility to decrease it.
Right.
So it is
right.
after getting, when you these two things we have to keep in our mind while solving this kind of questions.
Okay. Okay. So can you just repeat the points about the replacement by the new body? What is the new body name?
Commission,
it is
commission
already
for
discussed in the November current affairs.
Oh, is it?
Commission
Okay.
for
Okay.
quality management.
Yes. Sorry, guys. Actually, I was not there. Okay. So it has already been discussed, right? So should we move on? Right. Okay. Smog. Like I'm going starting the smog towers. So in November 2020, the Supreme Court has directed the government to prepare a plan to install smog towers across the capital to deal with air pollution. Smog towers are structures designed to work as large-scale air purifiers. They are fitted with multiple layers of air filters, which clean the air of pollutants as it passes through them. Then the filters installed in the towers will use carbon nanofibers as a major component. So they use carbon nanofibers as major components. Supreme Court has further ordered that anti-smog guns should be mandatory in projects that require environmental clearance and have a built-up area of 20,000 square meters. As per Supreme Court's direction, 47 large projects in Delhi had to have these guns installed. So these are about smog towers, right? And yeah, you can see. Anything to be added here? Smog towers. Okay, moving on. Emission Trading Scheme ETS by Gujarat for trading in particulate matter. Gujarat government launched Emission Trading Scheme for trading in particulate matter emissions. While trading mechanisms for pollution control do exist, none of them is for particulate matter emissions. For example, Clean Development Mechanism (CDM) under the Kyoto Protocol allows trade in carbon credits. The European Union's emission trading system is for GHG emissions. India has a system run by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency that enables trading in energy units. So CDM, it's in the form of carbon credits. It trades in carbon credits, and European Union's emission trading system is for GHG. Bureau of Energy Efficiency, it trades in energy units. Launched in Surat, ETS scheme is not only aimed at reducing pollution, but also at minimizing the cost compliance for the industry. Nobel laureate Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo, Esther Duflo's Abdul Latif Jamil Poverty Action Lab (JPAL) is one of the primary agencies working on the novel emission trading schemes. Right. So, anything to be added here, guys?
मैम नाउ अंडर COP26 ये क्लीन डेवलपमेंट मैकेनिज्म ये अब सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट मैकेनिज्म में चेंज हो गया है और जो भी कार्बन क्रेडिट्स थे क्योटो प्रोटोकॉल के वो कैरी ओवर हो गए हैं COP26 में.
Right. Got it. So moving on, how does emission trading scheme work? The Gujarat Pollution Control Board sets a cap on the total emission load for all industries. Okay. And various industries can buy and sell the ability to emit particulate matter by trading permits in kilograms under this cap. For this reason, ETS is also called a cap and trade market. These permits are a way to allow industries to buy some time and make investments in clean technologies. Then comes why Surat was chosen for the scheme. Surat is facing severe pollution and industries in Surat have already installed continuous emission monitoring systems. Sorry guys. which makes it possible to estimate the mass of particulate matter being released. Okay. Then comes Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana to reduce household pollution. Right. Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. In 2015, India's annual air pollution level was 55 micrograms per cubic meter. Levels in meter of fine particulate matter. Levels in New Delhi often soared by beyond 300 micrograms per cubic meter. Replacing biomass with cleaner fuels like LPG would cut India's average annual air pollution to 38 micrograms per cubic meter. This is just below the national ambient air quality standard (NAQS) of 40 microgram per cubic meter and above the WHO standards of 10 microgram per cubic meter. In 2016, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana was instituted by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, right, for providing LPG connections to women from below poverty line households. LPG cylinders are now used by 89% of Indian households in India. It was 56.2% right before that in 2015. Northern and southern states have the highest LPG coverage ratio, that is more than 99%, and western states have 81.9%, and most northeastern states have less than 80% coverage. The worst among major states are Jharkhand, Bihar, and Odisha. Right? Anything to be added here? Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana.
अभी इसका लास्ट ईयर सेकंड फेज स्टार्ट हो गया है उज्ज्वला 2.0 यूपी के एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट से स्टार्ट हुआ था मैं महुआ या फिर पता नहीं कौन.
Okay. Right. Then comes prevention and control of indoor air pollution. Use of wood and dung cake should be replaced by cleaner fuels such as biogas, LPG, or electricity. Use of solar cookers must be encouraged. Species of trees such as bawal or Acacia nilotica, which are least smoky, should be used. And charcoal is a comparatively cleaner fuel. Indoor pollution due to the decay of exposed kitchen waste can be reduced by covering the waste properly, and segregation of waste, pre-treatment at the source, and sterilization of rooms will help. So these are the prevention measures of indoor air pollution. Other measures are green crackers. In 2019, Supreme Court mandated the use of green crackers for Diwali. Traditionally, firecrackers have been made with barium nitrate, antimony, and a range of metals. Supreme Court banned the use of barium nitrate, right? A key pollutant in crackers. The National Environment Engineering Research Institute (NERI), as a part of CSIR, was asked to facilitate the development of green crackers. ये थोड़ा important है. Green crackers were developed by NERI as a part of CSIR, right? NERI substituted barium nitrate with potassium nitrate, right, and zeolite to reduce PM10 and PM2.5. So barium nitrate was replaced by potassium nitrate and zeolite. 90% of India's crackers are manufactured in Sivakasi, Tamil Nadu. Anything to be added here?
मैम जो फायर क्रैकर्स होते हैं उनको रेगुलेट कौन करता है?
आप बता दो अतुल, आप ही.
मैम एक पेट्रोलियम एंड एक्सप्लोसिव सेफ्टी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन and it is under Ministry of Commerce and Industry.
Right. So it's under Ministry of Commerce Industry. Okay. Then moving on, government initiatives to reduce sulfur dioxide emissions. In 2015, MOFCC introduced sulfur dioxide emissions limit for coal power stations. Initial deadline of the December 2017 for the installation of flue gas desulphurization units was missed. Right. So initial deadline of the 2017 was missed. Though the deadline was extended till 2022, as of June 2021, most of the power plants are operating without the compliance to standards. Right? The total capital expenditure required for installing pollution control clean technology in existing and new plants is estimated to be at least 73,000. Right? So basically, we are nowhere near the target. Right? Still, a lot of thermal power plants are not complying with the standards. Then comes flue gas desulphurization system. Lime is used to remove acidic gases, right? Particularly the sulfur dioxide and HCl from flue gases flowing out of the vehicle exhaust pipes. Flue gas desulphurization may involve wet scrubbing or dry scrubbing. Lime is used in both, right? In wet flue gas desulphurization system, flue gases are brought in contact with a liquid or a solid slurry absorbent, and the sulfur dioxide dissolves in or reacts with the absorbent and becomes trapped in a wet calcium sulfite. So sulfur dioxide gets trapped in a wet calcium sulfite. The sulfite can be converted to gypsum. So that sulfite can be converted to gypsum. In dry FGD scrubbing, lime is injected directly into the flue gas to remove SO2 and HCl from low sulfur fuels. Anything to be added here? Okay. So basically FTG has wet FTG and dry FTG. Wet FTG may it involves flue gas being brought into contact with liquid or solid slurry absorbent, and sulfur dioxide dissolves in the or reacts with the absorbent and becomes trapped as wet calcium sulfate, and this sulfite is converted to gypsum. And the other one is in a dry FDG, sulfur lime is directly injected into the flue gas. Right? Next is national and international measures to regulate ozone depletion substances. So these are the international measures, national and international. Vienna Convention for the Protection of Ozone Layer, ये पता है हमें. Vienna Convention for the Protection of Ozone Layer was agreed in 1985, and it established global monitoring and reporting on ozone depletion. It also created a framework for the development of protocols for taking more binding action. Anything to be added here, guys? Okay, moving on. Then comes Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. So the Montreal Protocol under the Vienna Convention was agreed in 1987, and it facilitates global cooperation in reversing the rapid decline in atmospheric concentrations of stratospheric ozone, that is good ozone. Right? So it facilitates global cooperation in reversing the rapid decline in atmospheric concentration of good ozone. Under the protocol, countries agreed to phase out the production and consumption of certain chemicals that deplete ozone. Phasing out of these substances is required by specific deadlines. The Vienna Convention and its Montreal Protocol are the first and only global environment treaties to achieve universal ratification with 197 parties. So there has been a universal ratification under the Vienna Convention and its Montreal Protocol. As a result of the international agreements, ozone hole in Antarctica is slowly recovering. Climate projections indicate that ozone layer will return to 1980 levels between 2050 to 2070, right? Guys, anything to be added here? Okay, moving on. Compliance, 40 to 60% of the total global CFC 11, that is trichlorofluoromethane, right? Emissions are coming from China. CFC 11 is trichlorofluoromethane. These are 40 to 60% are coming from China. So CFC 11 is a chlorofluorocarbon which are outlawed for almost all uses by So it is outlawed for all uses by the 1987 Montreal Protocol. Being the signatory to Montreal Protocol, China agreed to phase out production of CFC 11 in 2010. The Chinese foam manufacturers have been using CFC 11 illegally to save on the higher costs of alternatives such as hydrofluorocarbons like HCFC 141b. Right, these are the alternatives, which is to be phased out in China by 2026. A reduction in the atmospheric concentration of CFC-11 has made the second largest contribution to the decline in total atmospheric concentration of ozone depleting chlorine since 1990s. But this gas CFC-11 still contributes to 1/4 of all chlorine reaching the stratosphere. So CFC-11 is contributing to 1/4 of chlorine reaching the stratosphere. Right? Anything to be added here, guys? Okay. So let's attempt this question. Which one of the following is associated with the issue of controlling and phasing out of use of ozone depleting substances? ठीक है.
Easy है मैम, ये तो Montreal Protocol.
Yes. So ये एक बार explanation भी देख लेते हैं. Bretton Woods Conference पता है हमें क्या? It has established IVRD and IMF, and Montreal is international treaty protect the ozone layer by phasing out the production of ozone depleting substances, and it is legally binding. Kyoto Protocol is implemented the objective of UNFCCC to fight global warming by reducing the GHGs, greenhouse concentrations in the atmosphere, to a level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. Then comes Nagoya Protocol. It is an agreement to 1992 Convention on Biological Diversity (CBD) on the access to genetic resources and fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from the utilization. Right. Then comes Kigali Amendment to Montreal Protocol. In the 28th meeting of the parties 2016 to the Montreal Protocol, negotiators from 197 nations have signed an agreement to amend the Montreal Protocol in Kigali, capital of Rwanda. Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol aims to phase out the use of potent greenhouse gases called hydrofluorocarbons, which are used widely in ACs. Right? And unless substituted, ACs alone could cause 0.4 degree centigrade of additional warming by the end of century. ACs greatly exacerbate urban heat island effect, making cities inhospitable, especially for the poor. So ACs exacerbate urban heat island effect. Right, the parties are expected to reduce the manufacture and use of HFCs by roughly 80 to 85% from their respective baseline 2045. So this Kigali Amendment is the parties are expected to reduce the manufacture and use of HFCs by 80 to 85% from their baseline till 2045. This phase down is expected to arrest the global average temperature rise up to 0.5 degrees centigrade by 2100. It is legally binding agreement between the signatory parties, right? With non-compliance measures. It came into effect from 1st January 2019. Anything to be added here, guys? Right, moving on. HFCs, hydrofluorocarbons, are used since as an alternative to CFCs and HCFCs. HFCs do not contribute to ozone depletion, right? And however, they are potent greenhouse gases with high global warming potential. So it does not, HFCs do not contribute to ozone depletion. ये थोड़ा important है, but they are a potent greenhouse gas with high global warming potential. India's position, India has agreed on a lenient schedule as it consumes only 3% of HFCs as compared to the other nations like USA and China, which is 37% and 25%. So yeah, let's see the timeline once. 1930s, Freon CFC developed, making widespread use of refrigerators and air condition possible, also serves as propellant in aerosol spray. Then in 1970s, HFCs identified as replacement to CFCs. In 87, Montreal Protocol came, and 1990, address ozone depletion with the development of non-CFC refrigerators and propellants, right? And then in 1995, produced last CFCs in developed countries. And 1997, Kyoto Protocol came, and in 2005, HFC was launched as near drop-in replacement for HCFC refrigerators. And in 2011, breakthrough HFO chemistry leads to Option for use of mobile and stationary refrigeration. And 2014, guys, I don't think ये नाम इतने important है ना?
Right, important नहीं है मैम ये.
Yeah, low GWB foam blowing agent developed, and then came 2016 में Kigali agreement हुआ है. So this is the timeline. And then comes HFO alternatives to HFCs. HFO stands for hydrofluoroolefin, right? Hydrofluoroolefin. HFO refrigerants are composed of hydrogen, fluorine, and carbon atoms, right? But contains at least one double bond between the carbon atoms. So there has to be one double bond between the carbon atoms. This is HFO. And comparison, CFCs, HFCs, HCFCs and HFOs, right? CFCs ozone depleting potential high है and global warming potential भी high. HCFCs में HCFCs they do not have ozone depleting potential, but they are high global warming potential. And HFCs have zero global warming, ozone depleting potential, but very high global warming. And HFOs have zero depleting and zero global warming, very low global warming. So HFOs are the best alternative. And ozone depleting substances, ODS rules. The rules are framed under the jurisdiction of Environmental Protection Act, right? These rules set the deadlines for phasing out of various ODS. Besides regulating production, trade, import, and exports of ODS and and the product containing ODS. These rules prohibit use of CFCs. Guys, can anybody take over from here by any chance? Anybody would like to read from here?
Maybe ma'am Renessa.
Anybody, please?
Okay, I will. Okay.
Thank you.
So the ozone depleting substance rules are framed under the jurisdiction of EPA Act. These rules set the deadline for phasing out various ODSs. Besides regulating production, trade, import, and export of ODSs and product containing this ODS. So these rules prohibit the use of CFCs in manufacturing various products beyond 1 January 2003, except in metered dose inhaler and for other medical purposes. Okay, so similarly, use of halogens is prohibited after 1 Jan 2001 except for essential use. Other ODS such as carbon tetrachloride and methyl chloroform and CFCs for metered dose inhale can be used up to 1 Jan 2010. Further, the use of methyl bromide has been allowed up to 1 Jan 2015. Okay, since HCFCs, hydrochlorofluorocarbon, are used as interim substitute to replace CFC. These are allowed up to 1 Jan 2040. Okay, तो ये हमने काफी डिस्कस किया है previously भी. So India phases out ozone depleting HCFCs 14(1)(b). So India has completely phased out HCFCs, which is one of the most potent ozone depleting chemicals after CFCs. Okay, so there was, we discussed na, a cloud which harm this ozone layer also. I guess we have discussed na.
Are you talking about polar vortex?
What?
हाँ, आप polar vortex के बारे में बोल रहे हो क्या?
No, there was a cloud na which I'm forgetting the name of the cloud. Maybe I will check and post it. Okay.
Polar
Okay.
stratospheric cloud formation.
Correct, correct, correct.
Correct. Okay. So, HCFC's 14(1)B is used in foam manufacturing in the production of rigid polyurethane foams. The polyurethane foams sector has links with important economic sectors related to building, cold storage, cold chain infrastructure, automobiles, commercial, refrigerations, etc. To HCFC's 141B is prohibited from 1st January 2020 under this Ozone Depleting Substances Regulation Control Amendment Rules 2019 issued under EPA 1986. HCFC's this 141B is not produced in the country, and all the domestic requirement are met through imports. Okay, तो ये important statement है, they can frame in prelims, no? So we have we completely depend on imports. So with the amendment rules 2019, import of HCFC's 141B is completely prohibited. That means India has completely phased out the important ozone depleting chemical, that is HCFC 141B. Complete phase out of HCFC's 141B from the country in foam sector is among the first at this scale in Article 5 parties, that is developing countries under the Montreal Protocol. Anything anyone want to add in this? Okay. So next is a closure of Hindustan Fluorocarbon Limited, HFL. So Government of India has approved the closure of Hindustan Fluorocarbon Limited recently. HFL is a subsidiary of Hindustan Organic Chemical Limited under Department of Chemical and Petrochemicals. So HFL is engaged in manufacture of chloro-difluoromethane, HCFC22 or CFM22, and also uses the same for conversion to polytetrafluoroethyl, PTFE. So under the provision of Montreal Protocol on phasing out ozone depleting substance, HFL HCFC 22 present production quota is not sufficient for the plant to operate. Okay. So anything to be added in these important chemicals? Okay, तो
एक चीज ऐड करना चाहूंगा मैं, जो HFCs होते हैं उनको एक दूसरे नेम से भी जाना जाता है, उसका नेम होता है R22 R23। तो कभी स्टेटमेंट में ऐसे R22 या R23 मेंशन हो तो वो HFCs की बात कर रहे हैं।
okay. वैसे there are medicines R48 and something, तो R22 and R23 are HCFCs. Okay. Do you know the meaning of this R?
नो, एक्चुअली नोट्स में था मेरे, तो मैंने इसीलिए मेंशन कर दिया।
अच्छा, okay, so okay, so next moving on, water pollution, marine pollution. Okay, water pollution is the addition or presence of undesirable substances into the water, such as organic, inorganic, biological, radiological, heat, which degrade the quality of water so that it become unfit for use, especially for human use. Okay, so natural sources of pollution of water are soil erosion, leaching of minerals from rocks due to natural solubility and solubility triggered by acid rain, decaying of organic matters. Okay, so there are two kind of the sources, point and these non-point sources. So these point sources are one, influence. attributed to a one influence, one specific source. Okay, so we know the area from where the pollutants are directly coming into the water. Okay, and the this non-point sources, it's difficult to regulate, and there is no particular source. Okay, there are temporary sources, okay, like such as runoff from agriculture fields, okay, grazing lands, construction sites, abandoned mines and pits. Okay, so next is causes of water pollution. For sewage water, so sewage water includes discharge from houses and other establishments. The sewage contained human and animal excreta, food residue, cleaning agents, detergents, etc. Domestic and hospital sewage contain many undesirable pathogenic microorganisms. Okay, so we have discussed recently na grey water. Okay, to be treated and used in agriculture. Okay, so grey water is this water coming from the households, from the washing machines and including detergents and all. Okay. So next is dissolved oxygen. So this is presence of organic and inorganic wasted. What is this? Wasted. This must be increases. No, waste decreases. Okay, this is space. Okay. Inorganic waste decreases the dissolved oxygen content in the water, and water having DO content below 8 um, microgram per liter may be considered as contaminated. Okay, so 8 microgram oxygen per liter. So water having DO content below 4 microgram oxygen per liter considered to be highly polluted. DO content of water is important for the survival of aquatic animals. So due to the uh, sewage outflow in the water bodies, it decreases the DO content of water. A multitude of factors like surface turbulence, photosynthetic activity, oxygen consumption by the organism, and decomposition of organic water determines the amount of DO present in water. Okay, so what happens? DO present, this dissolved oxygen got decreased, है ना? Due to the higher amount of waste, because decomposition of organic matter increases and oxygen consumption increases. Okay. Okay, the next is biological oxygen demand. Okay, so the water pollution by organic waste is measured in form of BOD, biochemical oxygen demand. Mm. Okay, so BOD is the amount of dissolved oxygen needed by the bacteria in decomposing the organic waste present in the water. It is expressed in milligrams of oxygen per liter, that is mg per liter. We have read just. So the higher value of BOD indicates the low DO content in the water. Okay, so higher the BOD, higher the polluted water is. Okay, so since BOD is limited to biodegradable material, so it is not the reliable method. Okay, because we are not considering non-biodegradable material and plastics and all. Okay, so the water can be more polluted. So next question is, so this is easy. Okay, biologic BOD is standard for criterion for pollution in the aquatic ecosystem. So, yeah, next is chemical oxygen demand. Chemical oxygen demand is slightly better mode used to measure pollution load in the water. The COD measures amount of oxygen in parts per million required to oxygen organic, biodegradable and non-biodegradable, and oxidizable inorganic compounds in water. Okay, so it's slightly better than this BOD to be measured. Uh, uh, okay, so slightly better. But I think plastic is also not considered in this. Next is ammonium pollution in sewage. So ammonia is a colorless.
BOD में एक चीज ऐड करना चाहूंगा। जो यूट्रोफिकेशन होता है तो उसका पूरा मैकेनिज्म ये होता है कि जो एक्सेस न्यूट्रिएंट्स आ जाते हैं वाटर में तो वो एल्गल ब्लूम कर देते हैं। तो एल्गल ब्लूम हो जाता है पूरे एक सरफेस पे। तो जो फोटिक जोन होता है मींस की जो सनलाइट आती है वो पेनिट्रेट नहीं हो पाती है। देन ज्यादा ब्लूम होगा तो डेथ भी उनकी ज्यादा होगी। तो ज्यादा डेथ होगी तो उनका बीओडी इंक्रीज होगा। तो ये भी एक कॉज होता है।
राइट। Okay, so ammonia occurs naturally throughout the air, soil, and water, and in plants and animals, including humans. So human body makes ammonia when the body breaks down foods containing protein into amino acid. So we know that there is a nitrogen content in amino, and protein is made up of amino. So there are 22 amino acids. Okay, so amino acids and ammonia, then converting the ammonia into urea. Okay, so this next is ammonium hydroxide, commonly known as household ammonia, is an uh, in, ingredient in many everyday household cleaning products. Okay, so ammonia has been used in municipal treatment systems for more than 70 years to prolong the effectiveness of disinfection chlorine added to drinking water. Okay. Next is addition of ammonia enhances the formation of chloramines, may create objectional tastes. Okay, तो this is kind of अजीब सा कड़वा सा टेस्ट आता है ना वाटर में, देखा होगा आपने कहीं. तो it reduces the formation of chlorination byproduct which may be carcinogenic. तो ammonia carcinogenic means which leads to cancer. So ammonia is a basic building block for ammonium nitrate fertilizers. Okay, so from these agricultural lands, we got ammonia and nitrogen in higher percentage in water. Okay, so which releases nitrogen, an essential nutrients for growing plants, including farms, crops, and lawns. So we are using extensively, so leading to marine pollution. So if the concentration of ammonia in water is above 1 ppm, it is toxic to fishes. Okay, the small fishes. So in humans, long-term ingestion of water having ammonia level of 1 ppm or above is harmful. So next is the acceptable limit of ammonia in drinking water as per the Bureau of BIS is 0.5 ppm. Okay, so uh, we are doubling the intake. So someone wants to add in this? Okay, so next is industrial waste. Discharge of wastewater from industries like petroleum, paper manufacturing, metal extraction, okay, mining industries and processing, chemical manufacturing, etc., that often contain toxic substance, notably heavy metals. Okay, elements having more higher density than 5 gram per cubic centimeter, such as mercury, cadmium, copper, lead, arsenic, and a variety of organic compounds. Okay, so many industrial plants are not doing this. They are directing flowing out their wastewater into the rivers. So next is Central Water Commission report on heavy metals in surface water. So Central Water Commission is under Ministry of Water Resource. Okay, the superseding is this Jal Shakti Ministry. Okay, so iron emerged as the most common contaminant. The other major contaminants found in the sample includes lead, nickel, chromium, cadmium, and copper. So the metals would in monsoon period, iron, lead, chromium, and copper exceeded tolerance limit. Okay, so next is metals found in non-monsoon period include lead, cadmium, nickel, chromium, and copper. Okay, so iron is excluded in the non-monsoon period. Okay, then the main source of Main source of heavy metal pollution are mining, milling, plating, and surface finishing industries. So concern is long-term exposure to heavy metals may result in the physical, muscular, and neurological degenerative process that minimize Alzheimer's disease, where the extensive in a large amount of memory we got lost. The victim, okay. Then Parkinson's disease, muscular dystrophy, and multiple sclerosis. तो Parkinson's disease में क्या होता है? They have uncontrolled vibrations in the body, okay, so they cannot hold a glass of water, okay. Next, muscular dystrophy is something na where they have some body part which is underdeveloped, okay. Okay, next is agricultural sources. So agricultural runoff contains dissolved salts such as nitrate, phosphates, ammonia, and other nutrients, and toxic metal ions and organic compounds. So fertilizers contain major part of nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Okay, so this also we have um, discussed the phenomenon bioaccumulation and uh, biomagnification. Okay, so these elements got accumulated in fish. Okay, so and we eat the fish. Okay, so these are something the body cannot eliminate it, and it is stored in fat. Okay, so this is bioaccumulation. Anyone wants to add something in this? Okay, so next is excess fertilizers may reach the groundwater by leaching or may be mixed with surface water. Okay, so what happened na, the water, the threatened element, okay, and the contaminated water comes into this water table, okay, due to seepage from industrial and municipal waste, है ना? So polluted water percolates to the water table, okay, so it is polluting the groundwater also by leaching. So pesticides includes insecticides, fungicides, herbicides. Okay, so they contain a wide range of chemicals such as chlorinated hydrocarbons, okay, like DDT, endosulfan, etc. Then argonophosphates and metallic salts, carbonates, etc. So many of the pesticides are non-degradable, okay, and their residue have a long life. So they stored in the body. Waste from poultry farms, piggeries, and slaughterhouses, etc., reach the water through runoff. Okay, so we know the slaughterhouses and all. Okay, so next is thermal and radiation pollutions. Okay, so power plants, thermal and nuclear, chemical, and other industries use a lot of water for cooling purpose. The used hot water is discharged into rivers, streams, and oceans. Okay, so this is what same like industrial sewages. Okay, the discharge of hot water may increase the temperature of receiving water by 10 to 15 degree above the ambient water temperature. This is thermal pollution. So what we can do is hot water should be cooled before release from the power plants. Okay, so this should be done to tackle this. Then increase in the water temperature decreases the dissolved oxygen. Okay, so BOD increases. Okay, so unlike terrestrial organism, aquatic organism are adapted to a uniform steady temperature of environment. A sudden rise in temperature kills fisheries, okay, and other aquatic animals. Okay, so there is a particular salinity of the ocean and the marine ecosystem na when it changes and the temperature changes, the ecosystem of this water or marine ecosystem got affected.
इसके लिए एक टर्म होता है स्टेनोथर्मल्स होते हैं जो भी फिशेज होती हैं और उनको कोल्ड ब्लडेड एनिमल्स इसीलिए बोला जाता है क्योंकि वो वाइड रेंज ऑफ टेम्परेचर को मतलब शॉक को एब्जॉर्ब नहीं कर सकते.
Right, and there are some larva also there. to survive in this situation. Okay, so next is one of the best method of reducing thermal pollution is to store the hot water in cooling ponds and allow the water to cool before releasing into the receiving water body. Okay, ये जो अभी हमने डिस्कस किया था. Nuclear accidents near water bodies or during natural calamities like tsunami, earthquakes pose the risk of radiation leakage, radiation exposure into water, like Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster that was in Japan. Okay, the next is radiation. Radiation exposure causes mutation in DNA of marine organism. Okay, it also mutate. If those mutations are not repaired, the cell may turn cancerous. Okay, so radioactive iodine tends to be absorbed by the thyroid gland and cause the thyroid cancer. Okay, so we know the effect of radioactive waves and elements also. Okay, next is invasive species. Okay, तो water hyacinth.
एक अच्छा एग्जांपल
हाँ.
इसका ये हो सकता है जो वेस्ट वाटर मतलब हैवी मेटल्स को रिलीज किया था वाटर बॉडीज में, उस वजह से मरकरी का कंसंट्रेशन काफी इंक्रीज हो गया था जापान के वाटर्स में, तो वहां पे फिर इसीलिए मिनीमाटा जो
मिनामाटा
कन्वेंशन हुआ था तो
वो अभी
उसी
आएगा आगे. हाँ.
बैकड्रॉप में आया था.
वो 1956 में था, इसमें 60s में दिया हुआ है. मीनामाता डिसीज जो वहां पे जापान में वहां पे डिस्कवर हुई थी कि
नहीं, अभी
वो हो
हमने
रही है.
ऊपर पढ़ा था ना हैवी मेटल्स का डिस्चार्ज इन वाटर्स.
हाँ, वो वही एग्जांपल है. राइट. Okay, so this is water hyacinth. This is an aquatic weed. So this is called a terror of Bengal, the world's most problematic aquatic weed. Okay, so they grow abundantly in eutrophic water bodies and lead to an imbalance in the ecosystem. Okay, that is what algal bloom or eutrophication. Okay, so they cause havoc by their extensive growth, leading to the stagnation of pollutant water. Okay, so why we adopted, why we went for this water hyacinth, because it can purify water by taking some toxic materials. Okay, a number of heavy metals from the water. Okay, this can be the solution, but this also have some side effect like this. Okay, eutrophic water body. Okay, the next is groundwater pollution. So underwater pollution, underground water pollution. In India, at many places, the groundwater is threatened with contamination due to seepage from industrial and municipal waste and effluents, sewage channels, and agricultural runoff. Okay, so this we know, and pollutions like fluoride, uranium, heavy metals, and nutrients like nitrate and phosphate are common in many parts of India. Okay, due to what? Nitrogen phosphate, due to pesticides and fertilizers. Okay, so
इसका एक
next is
एग्जांपल है जो वेस्ट बंगाल में आर्सेनिक कंटामिनेशन होता है, उसकी वजह
right.
से वहाँ ब्लैक फुट डिजीज होती है. और एक हमने आर्सेनिक रेजिस्टेंट राइस सीड भी बनाया था, शायद नेम था उसका मुक्तोश्री मे बी.
हाँ, मुक्तोश्री, राइट. ओके, तो नेक्स्ट इज कंटेमिनेटेड ड्रिंकिंग वाटर. तो ओके, तो among rural habitation in Indian states, many face equality issues with drinking water. ओके, तो चेन्नई में तुमने देखा ही है कैसा रहा है वो कंटेमिनेट वाटर की वजह से. नहीं, उस वजह से शायद वहां का वाटर टेबल ही खत्म हो गया है, नहीं है, ग्राउंड वाटर डिप्लीट हो गया. So this year, 3.22% of rural habitations across all states and UTs were consuming drinking water with quality issues, according to the data labeled by the Minister of Jal Shakti in the Parliament. So iron is the most common contaminant. तो हमने अभी ऊपर देखा था that is the monsoon contaminants में था iron, non-monsonic में नहीं था. By salinity, arsenic, fluoride and heavy metals. So Rajasthan has the highest number of rural habitats affected by salinity contamination overall. Okay, and then in terms of arsenic and iron pollution, West Bengal and Assam are the worst affected. Okay, like अभी बताया था इन्होंने same example. States and UT that are not affected by any of these contaminants include Andaman and Nicobar Island, Goa, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Ladakh, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Puducherry, Sikkim, and Tamil Nadu. Okay, so these are the states which are not affected by these contaminations. Okay, so we can see the table. Arsenic pollutions में top है West Bengal and Assam, the same region. Okay, तो next iron pollution में Assam, West Bengal, Tripura. Okay, region same है but थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है. यहाँ पे second हो जाता है iron में West Bengal. Okay, तो next is nitrate. So excess nitrate in drinking water reacts with hemoglobin to form a non-functional methyloglobin and impairs oxygen transport. This condition called methanoglobinemia, globinemia, and blue baby syndrome. So this we have discussed earlier ना. तो hemoglobin में इसको replace करके ये nitrate methyl methemoglobin वहां पे आ जाता है. तो इसकी वजह से हमारी बॉडी में ऑक्सीजन तो ट्रांसफर नहीं होती है. तो the color of the skin turns into blue. So methyloglobin is a form of oxygen carrying metalloprotein hemoglobin. Okay, so methemoglobin cannot bind oxygen, unlike oxyhemoglobin. Okay, so high level of nitrate may form carcinogens and can accelerate eutrophication in surface water. Okay, this is also due to pesticides and fertilizers. Major reason. Next, trace metals. Trace metals in water include lead, mercury, cadmium, copper, chromium, nickel. So these metals can be toxic and carcinogenic. Next, arsenic, seepage of industrial and mine discharge, fly ash, ponds of thermal power plant can lead to arsenic in groundwater. Okay, so in India and Bangladesh, the Sundarban region, millions of people exposed to groundwater contaminated with high level of arsenic and a highly toxic and dangerous pollutant. So chronic exposure to arsenic causes Blackfoot disease, okay, a peripheral vascular disease in which the blood vessel in the lower limb are severely damaged, resulting eventually in progressive gangrene. Okay, तो chronic एक point होता है यहाँ. Chronic exposure to arsenic also cause diarrhea and a lung and skin cancer. Okay, तो कैंसर तो ये सारे कार्सिनोजेनिक ही एलिमेंट्स हैं. तो आर्सेनिक affected habitations, the country had 1800 arsenic affected habitations in 2015, increased to 4421. तो बहुत ज्यादा ही इंक्रीज हो गया. Most of the arsenic affected habitations lie in the Ganga and Brahmaputra alluvial plains. Okay, तो इसी वजह से गंगा रिजर्वेशन प्लान्स भी आया था. तो आसाम, बिहार, वेस्ट बंगाल, पंजाब एंड यूपी. Karnataka, which had 9 habitats in 2015, had none in 2020. So this is one of the best performing state. Habitations are the ground of households at a community level in a village. Okay, so these are the smallest level of settlement that can have been in 10 to 100 households. So arsenic poisoning, arsenosis. Okay, so occurs after the ingestion and inhalation of high level of arsenic. Okay, so the condition is arseniocausis. Arsenic is a type of carcinogen that's gray, silver, and white in color. Extremely poisonous to human. Obviously, carcinogenic hai. Doesn't have a taste or odor. While arsenic is naturally occurring, it also comes in inorganic or man-made formulas. So these are used in agriculture, mining, and manufacturing. तो छोटा नागपुर प्लेटो पे मोस्टली इसी वजह से पॉल्यूशन है ना. वहां से रन ऑफ होता है इधर बे ऑफ बंगाल सुंदरबन डेल्टा की. जैसे देयर इज अ रिवर ना, स्वर्ण रेखा समथिंग river which is highly polluted river in India. Okay, so next is arsenic poisoning tends to occur most often in areas of industrialization. Countries that have high level of arsenic containing groundwater includes US, India, China, and Mexico.
मे बी रिवर का नेम दामोदर है, उसको स्लो ऑफ बंगाल बोला जाता है.
हाँ, Damodar, I think south of Damodar there is also a river Swarnarekha something. वो मतलब
स्वर्णरेखा
shuffle करते हैं.
आंध्र प्रदेश में.
हाँ वो flow वो भी तो काफी polluted है ना शायद. एक बार चेक कर लेना. मैं
बट
भी
उसका
check कर
डेल्टा तो वो किसी की ट्रिब्यूटरी नहीं है ना स्वर्णरेखा, वो डायरेक्ट बे ऑफ
Suvarna
बंगाल में.
Suvarna Rekha is in Odisha, no?
हाँ,
No,
I also think it's in Odisha and
it
एक
is
बार check
in
कर लेना.
maybe border of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh.
Correct, correct. Right. Okay, should we move to the next one?
Yeah. Okay, so this is fluoride. Excess fluoride in drinking water causes neuromuscular disorder, gastrointestinal problems, teeth deformity, hardening of bones, and stiff and painful joints. Okay, skeleton fluorosis. Okay, the pain in bones and joints, outward bending of legs from the knees is called a knock knee syndrome. And fluorosis is a common problem in several states of the country due to the intake of high fluoride content in water. Okay, so this is also very problematic element. Next is uranium contamination. Okay. So uranium concentration above 30 microgram per liter in some of the localized pockets in the country. So this is UHO provisional guideline. Okay. In Rajasthan and other northwestern regions, uranium occurs mostly in alluvial aquifers, while in southern region, such as Telangana, crystalline rocks such as granite seem to be sourced. When groundwater is over extracted or exploited from such soil, the uranium is exposed to air, triggering its release. Okay, a report brought by the Central Groundwater Board states that most of the northwestern and peninsular states in India have localized occurrence of uranium concentration. Okay, so because of the extraction of this groundwater, AP government has ordered an inquiry into complaints about groundwater pollution caused by the uranium mining and processing projects of Uranium Corporation of India Limited in Kadapa district. So Kadapa district, eh, Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So the impact of uranium and all on health. So it's weakly radioactive with a long physical lifeline, half life. Sorry. Okay. So this is 4.5 billion years for uranium. The biological half-life time taken by human body to eliminate half of the amount is about 15 days. Elevated uranium level in drinking water may be associated with kidney toxicity, okay, and maybe kidney damage also. So high rates of chronic kidney diseases in Sri Srikakulam district in Andhra Pradesh is thought to be due to the groundwater uranium exposure. आप 2 seconds, okay है ना. Okay, so next is guidelines in India. The Indian standard IS 10500. Okay, to 2012 for drinking water specification has specified the maximum acceptable limits for radioactive residue as alpha and beta emitters, value in excess of which render the water not suitable. Okay, so these requirements take into account all radioactive elements, including uranium. So no individual radioactive element have been specifically identified. So further, BIS is working to incorporate maximum permissible limit of uranium as 0.03 microgram per liter as per WHO provisional guidelines. Okay. Next is freshwater salinization syndrome. Okay, so according to a recent study, freshwater is turning saltier. okay, and poisoning drinking water. Okay, as we know, on our whole earth there's a 70% of water, and in that 70% of water we have only 2.5% of fresh water. Okay, that is groundwater, lakes, glaciers, okay, and some fresh rivers. Okay. mm, then the point, the study note, right. mm, okay, so these were the point. Okay, this was the point. Next is ऊपर scroll कीजिएगा इतनी. Okay, तो okay. So the study ever shows that 1/3 of the streams and rivers in the world got saltier over the past 25 years. Study notes the risk of exposure to multiple heavy metals in drinking water in developing countries. So more than 57% of India's groundwater was contaminated with nitrate, fluoride, arsenic. Okay, so arsenic region we know the Bangladesh region. No, sorry, West Bengal and Bangladesh region. This region. Okay, due to this mining and all. Okay, and the nitrate due to the extensive use of fertilizers and pesticides. So saline water incursion forced many farmers to shift to cities for work in Tamil Nadu's Thuthukundi. Okay, so surface water are also at the risk of FSS from oil and gas extraction and other forms of resource extractions. Jyoti Korin, okay. Okay. So this okay, under FCC, problems may entail that fresh water would not have the same desired chemicals, biological and physical properties and provide the same ecosystem services in previous decades. Okay, so this fresh water salinization syndrome is the process of salty runoff uh, contaminating freshwater ecosystem. Okay, so fresh water is turning to be the salting water. So salts naturally occurs in fresh water, typically caused by rock weathering and naturally saline groundwater. However, anthropogenic activities are further increasing the concentration of salts in fresh water. Okay, so road salt for de-icing. Applying the salt on snowy and icy roads has a lower freezing temperature than the surrounding ice. Okay, this was a road salts for de-icing. Okay, so this happened. Next, human accelerated weathering of infrastructure, rock and soils, sea level rise and salt water intrusion. Okay, then evaporative concentration of salt ion from hydrologic modification in climate. Next, disturbance of vegetation and local groundwater hydrology. So these were the reasons. Next, effect क्या होता है? Global contamination of fresh water reduces biodiversity and threatens human health. Okay, so that's the reason we have made na the groundwater issue and depleting groundwater. We don't have fresh water and healthy water to use. Okay, so we have planted na desalinization plants in the coastal areas. Few, I think. So toxicity to aquatic life and corrosion and degradation of built infrastructure. Next, solutions क्या कर सकते हैं हम? At present, freshwater salinization is poorly regulated, largely ignored in freshwater management, and the need for uniform and comprehensive law. Next, source control is the best preventive strategy. Okay, so alternate de-icers and adaptive road salt application should be preferred. Next, remediation may occur through the creation of a national standardized database where local government can report the quantity and concentration of road salt that are released for de-icing purposes. Okay, so need to identify threshold that characterize effects of iron specific salt pollutions, limits appropriate to protect human health and well-being, ecosystem functions and services. Okay, तो मेन प्रैक्टिस क्या होनी चाहिए? This is a question. Okay, you can You can write it in there. You can try this. Elevated salt levels. Elevated salt levels in fresh water reduces biodiversity and threaten human health. In the light of the above statement, discuss increasing salinity as one of the most important environment issues of 21st century. Okay. So the next question is, which of the following can be found as a pollutant in drinking water in some parts of India? Okay, तो arsenic, sorbitol, fluoride, formaldehyde and uranium. तो बताओ इसका आंसर क्या हो सकता है? आर्सेनिक क्लोराइड तो है, यूरेनियम भी है, एंड फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि वो आई गेस गैसियस फॉर्म में होता है ना, स्टेरिलाइजेशन ऑफ।
नहीं फॉर्मलाइड को हम उसमें यूज करते हैं ना, फिशेस को प्रिजर्व रखने में, उनकी मतलब लाइफ
हाँ
पीरियड
हाँ, वो हम तब
इंक्रीज
जब
करने
हम
में।
उनको, हाँ जब हम उनको पानी से निकाल लेते हैं ना, उसके बाद इन द मार्केट नो, नॉट इन द मराइन इकोसिस्टम, तो दे आर आस्किंग अबाउट वाटर। तो इसका
मैं
क्या
सिर्फ
होगा?
उसका आंसर दे रहा था जो आप बोल रहे थे ना, गैसेस फॉर्म में होता है।
गैसेस में, हाँ हाँ, तो उसको फॉर्मेलिन के फॉर्म में यूज होता है ना वो। तो इसका क्या हो सकता है?
135
135 था ना, हाँ। तो इसमें आंसर स्क्रॉल कीजिएगा दीप्ति, देखिएगा 135। ठीक। तो इसमें एक्सप्लेनेशन भी आई थिंक यही है।
सॉर्बिटॉल क्या होता है?
सॉर्बिटॉल, सॉर्बिटॉल देखो इसमें, ईदर सॉर्बिटॉल ऑफ फॉर्मल्डिहाइड, सॉर्बिट शुगर ग्लूकोज, सॉरी शुगर अल्कोहल। ओके।
एंड जो आप डीसैलिनाइजेशन प्लांट की बात कर रहे थे, तो मे बी चेन्नई में लोकेटेड है।
और आई थिंक एक महाराष्ट्र एंड गुजरात साइड में भी एक हुआ था, बट कुछ इशू हो गया था उसके साथ 1 or 2 year बैक मे बी। ओके, तो मूविंग ऑन।
Should we continue or should we stop it here today?
ओके, तो वी शुड कंटिन्यू फिर, है ना? टुमारो वी विल कंटिन्यू फ्रॉम हियर। ओके, नोट
How
द
about
पेज ना।
others? What do you say, guys? बाकी लोग कंटिन्यू करना चाहेंगे क्या?
कल ही करते हैं।
कल ना? ओके।
चालू
Stop
कर
here
लीजिए
today.
अभी।
ओके, तो कल कंटिन्यू करते हैं यहाँ से। पेज कहाँ तक है ये, एक बार देखिए।